Get to Know Your Radiologist. Today I am here with Chuck Dumoulin. Say hello to everybody, Chuck, please.
Hi, everybody.
And I'm really excited for this interview. So if you've been watching this series, you know that I've introduced you and asked some kind of crazy questions to our radiology staff. And those radiology staff being the radiologists who will read your child's images on a day-to-day basis. This is a little fun for me because I tend to fall more on the research side, and so I'm getting to interview someone who is heavily involved in our research here in radiology. So if you could tell us a little bit about your role here and maybe tell us what your official title is.
Well, my official title is Professor of Radiology. However, I am not a radiologist. I have a PhD in chemistry. My entire career has been dedicated to research questions, primarily in the field of magnetic resonance imaging. So I'm a basic science researcher here in the Imaging Research Center. I'm also the director of the Imaging Research Center, so that center involves our research instrumentation, our research staff, as well as a very talented core of research faculty who, like me, are not radiologists but focused on addressing some of the fundamental questions in our field.
Right. So what made you choose this field, this career?
Actually, this is Plan B for me. My initial career choice was actually to join the military, and I had an appointment at the U.S. Naval Academy. I was all set, ready to go, and then I realized I failed the eyesight requirement, and so ended up having to scramble very, very quickly in high school to identify a second career choice, and that ended up being science, specifically chemistry. And as it turns out, techniques in chemistry are very related to many of the techniques we use in radiology today, especially in the area of magnetic resonance imaging. So for me, it was a very short step to go from the analytical chemistry applications of nuclear magnetic resonance to the medical applications of magnetic resonance imaging. I was very fortunate to be in the right place at the right time. I did this very early in the history of MRI. And so I've been able to witness the field grow and be part of that growth in the last 35, 40 years.
Very cool. So what made you decide to land here at Cincinnati Children's?
Well, I spent almost 25 years in industry working on MRI, helping develop new innovations in MRI and so on. And about 9 years ago, I reached the realization that, I've done pretty much all I can do in an industrial setting, and I had sort of a choice of, was I going to hunker down and not accomplish much else in the rest of my career, or was I going to reinvent myself and to renew my research activities. It was a point in life where my kids had just graduated college, and so we had some flexibility, some latitude to move, and took the leap. So, as I said, about 9 years ago, came here and never looked back.
Yeah. Why do you love this place?
Oh, I love the mission. We're all pulling together to improve the quality of healthcare for children around the world. So I'm really excited and impassioned with that. I love the spirit of collaboration that we all have as we work together toward this common mission. And I also love the amount of resources and dedication that the institution has put into these important research questions. The facility that we have here is spectacular on all fronts, and that is because of a tremendous investment by the leadership of this organization.
So do you have a favorite TV show?
Well, I do enjoy watching Big Bang Theory.
Really?
That's about the only one. Although recently, I must admit, my wife and I sat down and more or less binge watched the very first seasons of Beverly Hillbillies, and really enjoyed going back to some old school television.
So can you tell us one thing on your bucket list? I would prefer the craziest.
Oh, there are several things I'm not going to admit to I would love to go to Antarctica and see what things are like down there.
So when did you know that this is exactly what you wanted to do and like stay the track. So I know that you mentioned you had this kind of moment in high school where you were forced into picking like your plan B, but you got into this, you bared down. When did you really know like maybe this is what I was supposed to be doing? Because you are so great at your work.
I would say I have not reached that moment
Really?
yet. Yeah.
That's a really complete answer.
I'm always looking for opportunities and the next interesting question to pursue and things like that. I really enjoy where I am, but always eyes open.
That's a completely humbling answer. I like that answer. I think no matter how long you've been doing something, how great you think you are doing something, how old you are, that there's always still room to grow and to learn more, always. So I love that. So can you tell us just one interesting thing about yourself, or something maybe that a lot of people don't know about you?
Some interesting little tidbits. Most people don't realize I was born in Japan.
Were you really?
I was, yes. My father and mother were in the U.S. military, in the U.S. Air Force. My mother outranked my father, and she was a lieutenant. She was a lieutenant, he was a sergeant. And, but back in those days, she had to resign her commission when she got married, unfortunately.
Wow.
It's something that would not happen today.
Yeah.
I have a number of diverse interests. I just love steam and steam engines, and not necessarily locomotives, but just steam engines in general. Big technology I enjoy, and that's one of the things I really do get a thrill of, is hanging around the big MR scanners that we have, big complex systems, and just understanding how they work and keeping them going and getting the most out of them.
So I've heard several different variations or pronunciations, if you will, of your last name. I kind of cling to Dumoulin. It was the easiest for me. What is the correct way to say your last name?
Well, there really is no correct way. It's a name that comes from the French language and really has no proper pronunciation in English. Now, if I were in France, I'd try to pronounce it Dumoulin, which would be literally translate to of the mill. But I have to admit that even I can't pronounce it correctly. I once checked into a hotel in Paris and tried to pronounce my name with the best French accent that I could. And the lady behind the counter laughed at me because of the way I pronounced my own name. My father grew up in France. He pronounced it Dumoulin. But then when he learned to speak English as a young man, gravitated to a pronunciation of Dumoulin. When he married my mother had a background from a French Canadian, and so she pronounced it Dumoulin, and more or less I've adopted that pronunciation. But as I said, there's no pronunciation in English.
Tomato. Dumoulin, Dumoulin.
It doesn't matter. I still come running whenever you call me.
Okay. Good to know. Well, thanks guys so much for tuning in to get to know your radiologist, and thank you so much for sitting down with us.
Oh, I'm not a radiologist.
No, well, get to know radiology.
Okay.
And I'll see you next time. Until then, take care and stay warm. See you guys.
Bye.